Welcome back, YouTube, to another Wuthering Waves video. So, today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm actually going to be giving my critique over what I think Wuthering Waves needs to fix. Now, there are three aspects that I think Wuthering Waves excels in, as opposed to a lot of other gacha games, and the first thing is the combat. Now, as far as the combat goes, I did create a list of different things that I think should be improved. As far as the combat goes, the combat is the bread and butter of Wuthering Waves. Now, it doesn't mean that the combat is perfect. Now, in comparison to other gacha games, for example, Genshin, yes, the combat is absolutely 100% without a doubt better. But it doesn't mean that it is without criticism, and I think that some of these issues could be resolved and could make the combat even better than it already is. So I'm just going to go down this list and, give my thoughts, give examples if I need to. But before I get into this, thank you so much for tuning in. Definitely make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you agree with my list, make sure to comment down below that you agree. And if you disagree, hopefully I'll read your comment. But if not, whatever. All right, so let's get into the video. Okay, so the first thing that I would like to see changed is dodging. So the dodging is definitely one of the most fun mechanics of Wuthering Waves. However, once you start to outscale all of the enemies and outscale even the open world enemies, dodging just becomes a second thought. Now, I am a Tower Fantasy player, so in the beginning of Tower Fantasy, dodging was insanely important. You had dodge or you would just die. Whether you were a whale or a free-to-play, you had to dodge. But as time went on, dodging just didn't matter anymore. So, as far as dodging goes, I do think that it should be rewarded and punished a lot more than it is. Now, currently, dodging will give you a certain amount of concerto energy, which is nice, but I don't think that that is enough for whales to actually feel like they need to improve their game and need to actually dodge attacks. Now, obviously, in holograms, no matter what, you have to dodge because you'll die in like 1 or 2 hits. But, as far as free-to-play and even open world, I do think that dodging should be rewarded just a little bit more. And even if it's just a damage bonus of 1% for 10 seconds, I think that that's more than enough reward for even if you're a whale and you're going into the holograms. I do think that that is enough to make, whether you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to max out every single character, it still gives you enough incentive to be good at the game, because the skill factor in Wuthering Waves is, again, what sets it apart from other gacha games. And if we don't keep it that way, then it's just going to turn into Tower Fantasy or any other gacha game where you just outscale everything and it becomes like a Zhongli situation to where you summon a shield and you no longer have to actually care about the incoming attacks. So I do think that there should be some type of damage bonus because, again, whether you're a whale or free-to-play, and especially if you're free-to-play, maybe being good at the game could get you from maybe like completing the hologram level 4 to hologram level 5 if you're good at the game. Because I think that, again, being skillful at Wuthering Waves should be rewarded, and not dodging should be punished. So if you're a whale and you think that, okay, I spent $10,000 on this game, I no longer need to be skillful, I think that that should be punished. So if there is an attack and you don't dodge, I think that there should be some type of punishment, whether it be a damage reduction of, again, 1% for 10 seconds. And these are just, my immediate ideas of possible options that Wuthering Waves could introduce to the game. Now, whether it's a damage reduction of 1% for 10 seconds or a energy loss of 5 concerto energy, no matter what the punishment is, there should be more punishment, because right now it's just, you take damage and that's it. All right, it doesn't matter. So I think that there should be more punishment than just dying in a singular hit, right? Because once you're a whale, sure, you could try to challenge the final bosses in the game and still get one-shotted, but I think that even in the open world, because the open world exploration is still extremely important as a whale, because you still want to be engaged, you still want to enjoy the game, regardless of whatever you're playing, whether it's something more competitive or just the more casual open world options that, Wuthering Waves allows. So, not dodging should be punished, no matter whether you're doing something more skillful or just running around the open world. So the next thing is the echo and character targeting. Now, there is zero reason why every single echo does not have omnidirectional attacks. So there is no reason why, if I'm using the Inferno Rider, if I kill an enemy, that it doesn't just switch to the next enemy. There is zero reason for that, because some echoes does have omnidirectional attacks. But for example, again, I'm going to keep using the Inferno Rider because I do play Encore, who uses the Inferno Rider, and I cannot tell you how frustrating it is whenever I'm fighting a group of enemies and I use the Inferno Rider echo skill and I kill one enemy, and then I have to keep going in a straight line regardless of how many enemies are around me, regardless of whether you're using the lock-on ability. It doesn't matter, you have to go in a straight line. And other echoes, you always have omnidirectional attacks. So just to show an example of what I mean, in case you don't have Encore or you don't have any type of character that uses the Inferno Rider or an echo that does only go in one direction, I'm just going to show a quick example of that. Okay, so just a quick example of exactly what I mean. So obviously there are multiple enemies around me, so if I use the Inferno Rider, I keep attacking in a completely straight line, and I don't turn and attack the other enemies. And that can be extremely frustrating, especially whenever you're doing the Tower of Adversity, and every single attack matters, especially whenever you're free to play like me. The next issue with the echo the next issue with the echo targeting is the multi-attack cooldown. So what I mean by this is, let's say if you're using Calcharo, right? So whenever you activate his skill, there is a slight cooldown on whenever you can activate the next phase of his skill. Now, whenever you're using his echo, you have to use each string of the combo in conjunction with each other without pause. Now, in the open world, that's completely fine, but whenever you're fighting holograms, it becomes almost impossible to activate the entire 5-attack combo whenever you're fighting, again, holograms that are way stronger than you, so they can kill you in one hit. So whenever you're trying to hit those 5-string combos, the only time you can ever hit them is whenever the enemy is shield broken, or on very lucky occasions whenever the enemy just happens to completely miss the attack. So I think that adding cooldowns to each phase of the attack, just like Calcharo's E, so you can attack, dodge, whatever it may be in between each phase of the attack, because I can't tell you how many times I've tried to activate his skill and then the boss just completely one-shots me and then I die, because I either have to choose to cancel it out completely restart the cooldown in order to get the electro damage bonus, or finish it out and take what could be lethal damage. So I think in the long run, it would make the combat a lot more fun if there was a cooldown. And then just to add on top of that, I do think that having the cooldowns on the echoes will also decrease the amount of unfair damage. So if I'm going to be doing a 5-string combo, I do think that I should be able to dodge incoming attacks and then continue the damage during the downtime of the enemy's attacks. Which again, I think will make the bosses a lot more fun. It will require a lot more skill to cancel dodge, attack, cancel dodge. Again, it's gonna add a lot more combos to these bosses. Okay, so the next issue is the visual health indicator, which will be or could be an optional setting. Now, having a visual health indicator will allow you to focus more on the fight rather than what your health bar is at, because there have been times where I've been engaged so much in the combat that I forget to look at my health. And even looking down for a second, you might miss one of those slight ticks to where you do have to actually perform a dodge, and it can be detrimental to the boss fight. So I think that having an optional setting that shows a visual health indicator, whether it shows red on the side of your screen whenever your health is low, could help players during the boss fights. And one of the examples is players who use Dan Jin or any other future health reduction characters, because sometimes there have been occasions to where, I've seen a player use Dan Jin and not really pay attention to how much health they're losing, and then they end up dying. I think it will make the combat a lot more focused on the actual fighting rather than looking down at the health bar. So the very last change that I would like to see with the combat is infinite sprint during combat. Now, this is, again, my personal opinion, but I cannot tell you how obnoxious it is whenever I'm fighting a boss and I perform a dodge, which will then automatically make my character start sprinting, and I immediately run out of stamina because I'm not paying attention, since I'm just running, right? I'm not dodging. So I think that infinite sprint during combat should be 100% free of reducing your stamina, because I do think it is completely fair of running out of dodges from stamina, but sprinting, I think that should just be infinite no matter what, because it makes the fights a lot more fast-paced, and it just makes the fights feel a lot better. But whenever I run out of stamina, not from misusing my dodge, but from what I think should be infinite sprint, because there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to sprint the entire time during a fight, is extremely obnoxious. And I think that should 100% be a future change that will just make the combat, again, feel a lot more fast-paced. You can focus on actually being good at the game, as opposed to focusing on, oh, okay, I just dodged, so now I have to make sure that I'm not accidentally sprinting during this fight. Alright, so those are the different issues that I would like to see changed in Wuthering Waves to make the combat a lot more engaging, whether you're a free-to-play or a whale. So definitely, like I said, let me know down in the comments whether you agree, disagree. I probably won't read your comment, but if I do, maybe you'll get an awesome response. Who knows? But again, I'm just a dummy. I like playing Wuthering Waves and I want to see it thrive. So I think changing these issues, in my opinion, will make the game better in the long run. So again, if you like the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I do stream every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday without fail. So if you would like to see any of this live, make sure to tune into my Twitch, and hopefully I will see y'all guys in the next one. Bye-bye! My voice cracked at the end. I have to restart the whole thing. Alright, so the combat... No, I'm kidding.